Are you making one of these three money mistakes? For women over 45, they could cost you thousands and delay your financial freedom by years. Let's make sure you avoid them starting today. Hi, beautiful people. It's Dion with Delightful Wealth Creation, where I help women over 45 build financial stability and freedom. This video is part of my Debt Freedom series, and today I'm sharing three common money mistakes I see women over 45 making all the time. And honestly, I've made them too. But once I corrected them, my entire financial picture started shifting for the better. So let's talk about these mistakes and, more importantly, what to do instead. First, let's look at only paying minimums on your debt. I know it feels safe. You're making the payment, you're staying current, you're keeping your credit score up, but paying only the minimum keeps you trapped in debt for years, sometimes decades, while interest piles on. Let's take a look at a quick example. Let's say you had a credit card with a balance of $5,000 and the interest is, let's say, 20%. What happens if you only pay the minimum? Let's say you were putting $100 as a minimum payment on that debt. What actually happens is $83 out of that 100 goes towards the interest. So only $17 is actually going towards the balance, paying off the principal balance. So the next month, your new balance will be $4,983. So this cycle will just keep repeating. And as the balance drops, so does the minimum payment amount. That drops as well. But the interest will constantly remain the same and keep piling on. The long-term result of this is that $5,000 bill of just making the minimum payment, it'll take time to pay it off. It'll take around 9 years and 1 month to pay it off. So you would have paid a total of over $11,000, which is actually more than double the original balance. So you would have borrowed $5,000 from the bank on the credit card, but you'd actually be giving the bank an extra $6,000 in interest of your hard-earned money because you're just paying the minimum payments. If instead you paid, let's say, $200 per month on that $5,000 instead of just a minimum payment, you'd be debt free in 3 years instead of 9 years and a month. So you would have saved thousands of dollars in interest. So what to do instead? Focus on one debt at a time. So use either the snowball method, which is where you focus on the debt that has the smallest balance first. You do that for motivation, or the avalanche method, where you're focusing on the debt that has the highest interest. Even putting an extra $50 a month toward your debt makes a massive difference in how fast you'll be able to pay it off, because you'll be knocking out the interest. Another mistake that I see women over 45 making is waiting to invest until all their debt is gone. So many of us think that I'll start investing once I'm debt free. But here's the truth. At our age, over 40, over 50, like I'm over 50, time is our most valuable resource. So waiting 5 to 10 years to invest could cost you tens of thousands of dollars in compound growth. So let's take a look at an example. Let's say you're 40 years old, you have in your budget an extra $200 per month of cash flow, and you have a credit card bill of $5,000. Now, as we discussed earlier, if you take that $200 and put on that credit card, it'll be paid off within 3 years. So let's say you focus strictly on that and you did not invest the money at all. You're 40 years old, you put $200 a month on your debt, it's paid off in 3 years. Now you decide to start investing after you've paid that debt off. So now you have 17 years to go. That's between age 43 to 60. By 60 years old, if you had invested that money for those 17 years in the stock market with an average annual return of about 8%, which is kind of the norm, you would have at age 60, $88,000. Sounds great, but you could do even better. Let's look at another option. Suppose you decide to invest while paying off debt, doing a split strategy. So yes, you have that $200 surplus of money for the month that you could put towards your debt. Let's say you decide, you know what, let me just put $100 on the debt. Yes, it'll take longer to pay the debt off. It'll probably take about 6 years to pay it off. And let's take the other 100 and invest it in the stock market monthly for 20 years. At the end of the 20 years, you would have invested a total of about $40,000, but the compound interest that would have grown on it at age 60 would be $106,000 that you would have invested instead of $88,000. So it's just an option for you to look at. How about investing and paying off debt simultaneously? Waiting to invest could cost you about $18,000 in lost compound growth, even though the same amount of money went in. Yes, you want to pay off your debt as quickly as possible, but if you completely want to invest, you lose years of compound growth you will never get back. A balanced approach to attack the debt and invest simultaneously is something that makes a little more sense, especially when you're over 45. So what to do instead? Invest even if it's a small amount. Every $25 to $50 a month invested while paying down your debt will grow over time. You don't need to choose one or the other. Balance it out. Balance both. You're protecting your future while you're clearing out the past. The final mistake is not planning for unexpected expenses. Life happens, car repairs, medical bills, home maintenance. If you don't plan for them, they end up right back on your credit card, undoing all the progress that you have made in paying off your debt. What to do instead? Build a small emergency cushion. Even $500 to $1,000 in savings creates a safety net. That way, the unexpected happens, you're covered without going deeper into debt. And I have shared about having a mini emergency fund several times on this channel. And recently, I had to use my emergency fund to keep afloat while I was being canceled from work. I'm a nurse, and some of my shifts were canceled. And when I'm canceled, I'm not paid because I work per diem. I work per diem, full-time hours, but it's per diem. So therefore, if I don't work, I don't get paid. And I was able to use my emergency fund to stay afloat. So it is a good idea to have an emergency fund, even if it's a mini emergency fund for those unexpected expenses. So the good news is you can stop making these money mistakes today. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need consistent action. Pay more than the minimum, invest while you're paying your debts off, and create a simple emergency buffer for those unexpected expenses. These small shifts will completely change your financial future. Now it's your turn. Which of these mistakes have you been making? And which will you commit to fixing this week? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to cheer you on. And in this community, we'll all love to cheer you on. And don't forget to grab your free copy of my 7-day financial clarity starter kit. It helps you see all of your expenses, your debt, and your income all in one place, so you can avoid these mistakes and finally get clear about your money. The link is in the description box below. Remember, it's never too late to rewrite your financial story. So let's make today your turning point. Until next time, take care.